Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm going to be trying a puzzle by the constructor Arbitrary. Mark has done a couple of Arbitrary puzzles on the channel, and they've been really good, and we've had an absolute deluge of recommendations to try this one, which I looked up on Logic Masters Germany, and it has 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, so it looks... well, it might at first blush be quite difficult, although I have to say, staring at this grid, it is redolent of something that is very dear to my heart. So I think at least I'll know roughly the ideas involved in starting this one. It's called Things in Common, and I will read you the rules in a moment or two's time. What else to mention before that? Couple of things. Have a look at yesterday's sort of miracle puzzle by Sumanta. A genuine miracle, a completely blank grid. Loads and loads of you have been loving that with good reason. Other than that, we have a brand new Sudoku Hunt coming up very soon for you over on Patreon by none other than Glum Hippo, and featuring hybrid Sudokus on one of my absolute favourite types of logic puzzle, which is the Snake Egg puzzle. Have I got a picture? I can show you some pictures of Sudokus with snake eggs in them. So in snake egg puzzles, you have to draw a snake in the grid, but you have to draw it so that the sort of eggs left out, the cells that are not on the snake, form orthogonally connected areas of size 1, of size 2, of size 3. So if you look at this second one here, you can see there's a single cell isolated there, and there's a 2 cell bit isolated here, there's a 3 cell bit isolated here, 4 cells here, 5 cells here, 6 here, 7 there, and then 8 there. It is an absolutely... It might sound complicated if you've never seen it before. It's not really. It's not really complicated, and it is absolutely lovely. And we've got some wonderful puzzles. So big thanks to Glum Hippo for that. It's coming on the 1st, obviously, the 1st of May, 4 p.m. UK time. The other thing we've got on Patreon at the moment, which everybody can have a go at, is a link to SUMGEONS and Diagrams, which is Sunny Jum's tribute to Dungeons and Diagrams, which Mark and I have been streaming. You must have a go at that puzzle. It's brilliant. And if you do get stuck, there is a video over on Patreon of my attempt at that puzzle. But continuing catching up from my vacation recently, I have a few birthdays to do before we kick off into the logical solving today. So let me read out those. I'll start off with Ben, who turned 25 down there in Australia on the 22nd of April. I know this because your partner Ayla wrote to us. And I understand, Ben, you're not the biggest fan of chocolate cake, but you're still going to have it in honour of Cracking the Cryptic. There is a good fellow. Well done, Ben. I hope it was a great birthday. Next, April the 19th, so I'm very late with this one. Sorry about this, Brent. Over there in San Francisco. You live in San Francisco, so there's compensation for me being late with your birthday. Your wife, Denisa, wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. Can't remember if I said your age, but it is 38. Next, oh, this is a birthday for today, so I'm not late for once. Charlie, it's your birthday, and I know this because your girlfriend Raylin wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. So yes, I'm on time for once. Next, Christian, you turned 28 on April the 22nd, and I know this because we had a lovely email from your mum Leslie, who described you as follows: a smart, wonderful 8th grade math teacher and an even better son. Well, that they are lovely words indeed. So Christian, many happy returns. I hope you had a great day. Another birthday today, James, you've turned 23, and I know this because your partner Eleanor wrote to us and said that you prefer red velvet cake to chocolate cake. I can't really comment on that. I think I know what red velvet cake looks like, but I don't think I've ever had it. So I'll have to let you off. Yeah, James, happy birthday. Another birthday today, over there in Lexington, Kentucky. It is Kenton's 26th birthday. And I know this because your partner Bethany wrote to us, Kenton. I hope you have an absolutely great day. Next, this isn't a birthday, but this is a shout out to Luke, who is graduating from Boston University next month, as indeed is his girlfriend Gabrielle. And I think, Luke, you have an honours thesis due any day now. So I wish you all the best with that. I will tell you that your girlfriend Gabrielle described you as an incredible boyfriend, student and man, and she loves you very much. So nice words indeed, I'm sure, to hear today. And next, another birthday today, over there in France. It's Tom's birthday, and I know this because your partner Caroline wrote to us, although she did say that you refer to each other by the name Sheishinu. I don't know what that means. I've probably said it wrong, but hopefully it means something to you, Tom. Many happy returns. And then finally, Joshua. Joshua, you've turned 36 today, and I know this because your dad Stephen wrote to us. And Joshua, we know that you're dealing with a lot at the moment, and we both wanted to send you our very best wishes on your birthday. And that is all the news. So let us have a look at what Arbitrary has constructed. These are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Digits along pink lines are a consecutive set without repeats. So what that means is, imagine this, well, imagine that square there is a 1. Then this line would have to contain the digits 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, because collectively these must be a sequence of consecutive digits. And those digits can be in any order, but they mustn't repeat and they must be consecutive, as I said. So that's how pink lines work, so-called renban lines. That's often the term used for such a line. And then we've got killer cages. Digits within cages do not repeat and sum to the indicated value if given. If given. Oh no, okay, that one is not given. Okay, so what does that mean? Those 4 squares sum to 23. But what you couldn't do to make up that total would be something like this. Because, probably I've got the maths wrong on that, but the reason this doesn't work is obviously these 7s, they obey the rules of normal Sudoku. They're not in the same row, column or box, but they are in the same cage, and that's not allowed. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. Oh, well, okay. And I mean, I will be very surprised if this puzzle does not involve the so-called Fistmafel ring, which is something I achieved one of my life's ambitions in regard to the Fistmafel ring when I got to do a number file video about it, which has now, that video's been watched by something like 1.3 million people. It's just ridiculous. But in that video, I talk about the proof of something really rather beautiful. I'm sure you all, or most of you will know this, but if you don't know what I'm highlighting here, I'm about to really, really blow your minds. Certainly that was my my feeling when I first discovered that this existed. So in any Sudoku that you find, you can go and try this on any Sudoku on the back of a newspaper. You will find that these 16 green digits here that sort of circle this central 3x3 box, they are the exact same 16 digits that you will find in the 2x2s in the corner of the puzzle. And there's a reason for this, and I probably am going to prove it. Do I? Sometimes I don't prove it until I've definitely established that the Fistmafel ring. Maybe I should, but I just want to talk about the Fistmafel ring here. I think I'm going to have to prove it here because I want to talk about, well, I mean, it's not a perfect match, is it? It's a sort of offset Fistmafel ring. But I'm going to prove it, and then at least we can. You can skip this bit if you don't want to hear it. But on the basis that I strongly suspect that this puzzle is going to involve the Fistermafell ring, I'm going to prove it. Now the way to prove it is to highlight something like those digits. Now the interesting thing about those cells I've just highlighted in green is that we can describe absolutely precisely the contents of all of these green cells collectively. And that is because these green cells consist of 2 complete rows of the Sudoku, row 3 and row 7, and 2 complete boxes of the Sudoku in the form of box 4 and box 6. So we know collectively that the digits in green must be 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, because a complete row of the Sudoku contains 1 of each digit 1 to 9, and we've got 2 of those. And a complete box of a Sudoku contains 1 of each digit 1 to 9, and we've got 2 of those. So collectively, the green cells are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. So let's highlight something else. Let's highlight a different collection of digits, but interestingly, the blue cells I've just highlighted are also collectively 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, because that's 4 complete columns of the Sudoku. So if I was to ask you at this point to compare and contrast the contents of those blue cells with the contents of those green cells, what could we say? Well, we'd say that the 2 sets were identical. The blue sets, the blue digits, are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, and the green digits are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. So let me ask you a different question then. Let's say, now I'm going to ask you to compare and contrast the blue and the green sets. Now this is where some people find it more difficult to visualize or to think about what's going on. But the way to understand it is to realize that before we deleted this cell, none of us were in any doubt, were we, that the greens and the blues contained the same digits. They did, definitely. But if I remove the same thing from both sets, I may not now know exactly what the contents of green and exactly what the contents of blue are, because I don't know what digit this is. But I can say that the remaining blue digits and the remaining green digits, they must be the same, mustn't they? Because they were the same before I took the same thing out of both. Yeah? So we can do that for all the cells that are in both sets. I'm just going to remove them from both sets. And we end up here with the greens equaling the blues. Isn't that cute? Oh, my phone's buzzing. And I'm going to try and ignore that message. I'm going to try and concentrate. Right, so what I was going to say is, right, I mean, the reason this looks like it must be relevant is that we can see that the sets of digits that live in the corners in this puzzle are also consecutive, in the sense that these 4 digits are a consecutive set. So say there was a 1 here, then we know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, don't we? And therefore we know there would be 1, 2, 3 and 4 somewhere in the ring. We also no, that was a fatuous point. I was going to say if there's a 1 on this sequence of digits, there's no 1 on this sequence of digits, because say you did that, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and by Sudoku in row 3, where would the 1, 2, 3 and 4 go? They would have to collectively be in those 3 squares, and yet there's 4 different digits, so that can't be true. But that's not very helpful, because that's looking at an extreme digit here. It's the same for 9. Obviously, if we put 9 there and 9 there, it wouldn't work. But if we had sort of a 3 here, that doesn't deserve a song. That's in the corner. And that is 3 in the corner, but it is not an earned 3 in the corner, so it doesn't get a song. But if you put 3 here and 3 here, then you don't know that this collection of digits is the same as this collection of digits, because 3 is not extreme. So this could be 3, 4, 5, 6, but this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and there then isn't a lot of overlap between the two sequences. So perhaps what we're meant to do... Oh, I just had a horrible thought. Maverick has taken off. No, that is not the horrible thought. That is a truth. That it's taken 15 minutes. Maverick's a bit late today, but he's about to buzz past my window. No, I was just looking at... I was looking at this... Oh dear. Now, hang on. Now I'm a bit worried. I'm just gonna delete the Fistemafel ring. I hadn't seen this before. What I'm noticing is I've got 4. I've got 4 3x3 boxes entirely made up of cages that sort of sit offset from the actual 3x3 boxes of the grid. So I'm worried now this is a set puzzle, but it's not the Fistemafel set, it's something else. Although, no, that's 48, this is 48, this is 48, that's 49. Okay, so perhaps... Yeah, there's nothing saying that this has to be... Well, in fact, this can't be. I was worried about the secret. The secret is something I tell only my very favourite people, but the secret is that the digits 1 to 9 sum to 45. So actually, this set of digits here is definitely not one of each digit, because if it was, these cage totals would have to be 45, and they aren't. So it's not the case that we could compare this 3x3 box with, say, this 3x3 box and try and create some sort of set relationship. Okay, maybe I've misled myself there. I'm going to go back to Fistemafel again. It's tricky, this, isn't it? I mean, and I apologise if it's staring me in the face. It probably is staring me in the face, but I'm not exactly sure where to look. I mean, I can see that the central... you see, the central... These ones, they are 5-cell sequences. So they have to have 5 on them. And that's because if you think about the digits 1 to 9 and you lined them up and you took a slice of 5 consecutive digits, no matter where you cut that slice, you would include a 5. And the way to see that is to start at the lowest digit you possibly could. If you start with 1, the sequence would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you start with 9, on the other hand, which would be the other extreme sequence, you would get 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So you'd always pick up 5. So there is always a 5 here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to have 4 5s, say, in the blue squares, because what would happen if that's a 5? So say you make that a 5. Actually, that's interesting. Okay. That's very, very weird, actually. Yeah, sorry. What I'm noticing there... Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so what Arbitrary has built into the puzzle here is, if you do make this a 5, where do you put the 5 on that renban? And the answer is in the sort of tip cell here. And where do you put the 5 on this renban? The answer is in the tip cell there. And where do you put the 5 on that renban? And the answer is in the tip cell there. So if... So either there are... Right, that's really weird. But we're now seeing the path of the puzzle sort of bifurcate, if you like, in the sense that if there is a 5 in a tip, in any of the tips, in any of these 4 squares, then there is no 5 in the 2x2s in the corner. Because you can't put a 5 now in the Fistemafel ring. I mean, or you could even look at that from a Sudoku perspective. There are 4 5s in boxes 1, 3, 7 and 9 that are not on these rings. And if this is right, then these rings, because they can't include 5, would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6, well, in fact, or 6, 7, 8, 9, and they'd have to be diagonally opposite each other, in the sense that, imagine this was 1, 2, 3, 4 in some order. We now know this one and this one cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4, because if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, we get the problem here. So this one would have to be 6, sorry, this would have to be 6, 7, 8, 9 in some order. This would have to be 6, 7, 8, 9 in some order. And this one would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, another unearned 3 in the corner, for which I won't sing. So, So then, in this situation, these cells are obviously made up of 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 6s, 2 7s, 2 8s, and 2 9s. But I'm less sure about how that would be disposed. Now, the other alternative to this, and why I say the puzzle will bifurcate, is that if there is not a 5 in a tip, then we know that this sequence must contain a 5, this sequence must contain a 5, this sequence must contain a 5, and this sequence must contain a 5. In other words, there are 4 5s in the Fistemafel ring, and if there are 4 5s around this ring, what you can't do is put a 5 in the corner of the ring. And that's Sudoku related. If you do put 5 in the corner, now how do you get 4 5s in the ring? Because you can't put any 5s in those, so you can only put, you've got these cells to put 3 5s in, and there are only 2 Sudoku units in these squares here. Let me just highlight those. That's 1 row and that's 1 column, so you can't put 3 5s in it. So what that means is that, yeah, this is so you're either going to be in a situation where there are 4 5s on the rings in the corners, or there are no 5s on the rings in the corners. And I bet you it's no 5s is where we actually need to end up, because that's going to be much more helpful. Because just knowing there's a 5, you know, in all of these corner boxes that feels very it doesn't feel powerful to me at all to know that it's such a middly digit. Or, well, although what that would mean is that, actually that's interesting. So if there are 4 5s in these squares, then because these are 4-cell renbans, there couldn't be an extreme digit in the Fistemafel ring, because you couldn't put 1 or 9 on the ring things. Because if there's 5 here, say, and you went downwards, you go 4, 3, 2. If you go upwards, you go 6, 7, 8. So there would be no 1s and 9s in the blue squares, which means there would be no 1s and 9s in the green squares. No, that's... I don't think that's too bad, is it? So far, I've not even put a pencil mark in the grid, you know. Like, I mean, of a digit. So we're either in a world where there's 4 5s here and extreme digits, yeah, okay. Right, okay, so we're not in this world, actually. We are not in this world. Yeah, because do you remember what we said? We said that if we're in this world, all of these, or these 4 corners, contain 2 sets of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 sets of 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, that means, where do we put the 2 1s that must exist in the Fistamafel ring? Let's do this slowly. So this could be the arrangement, and this could be. Let's do it up here as well. So we're in a world that looks something like this, and that tells us that these squares here are 2 sequences of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 sequences of 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, the point I've just realised is that I have to therefore allocate a 1 to one of these renbans, but whichever renban I put a 1 on, that's going to also therefore contain 2, 3, and 4, isn't it? And then I'm going to have to put 1 on another of these, which might actually have to be that one, because it definitely can't be that one. Because if it was on this one, this would also be, there'd be too many low digits in this column. But that's not the point I was thinking about. The point is that wherever you put because you can't sort of sully the sequences. It's not appropriate to sully the sequences, by which I mean that you can't put 5 here and then fill this renban with 3, 4, 6 and 7. Because although that is a consecutive sequence, it breaks the need for us to put 2 9s and 2 1s in the ring. Because wherever I put the 9, that sequence is going to have to be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And wherever I put a 1, that sequence is going to have to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5, obviously, with the 5 sticking out. So you can't create a sort of hybrid sequence. But what that means is that you're going to have a problem on the low sequence. With these 23 boxes, all of which seem to exist in the puzzle, those squares there. So imagine that we were going to try and make one of these renbans have 1, 2, 3 and 4 on it. How could we do that? What's the most we could put into any of these 23 cages? And obviously it's going to be 5 in here, 4, 3. That's the best we could possibly do on the sequence that has a 1 on it. And that's only 12, which means this has to be at least an 11, and that it doesn't exist in a Sudoku world, does it? So we can't do that. We are not in this world, and therefore we are not in a world which allows us, let's go back to here, this is not going to work. So we can't put 5 on any tip of the renbans. And if we can't put 5 on any tip, we know we have to put 5s on each of the internal renban sequences. We've already worked out we can't put 5s in the corner, therefore. So we have to put 5s into this pattern. And much more potentially importantly, although we now... Well, now 1 and 9, this is the point that I was making before. Now 1 and 9 are not, they're nowhere in the Fistamafel ring. Which means that 1 and 9 in the corner boxes... Oh, okay, but you... Oh, well, no, hang on. I was going to say this, but I can do better than this. So I'm going to say this first, and then I'm going to slightly amend my first comment. So I was going to say, because I can't put 1 and 9 in blue, I can't put 1 and 9 in green. Therefore, in the corner boxes, in these corner 3x3s, 1s and 9s have to live in these dominoes. But we can do better than that. We can't put 1 in any of these tips. And that's for exactly the same reason that we were going to have a problem with the 23 cage. If I put 1 here, the maximum these 3 digits could add up to is 10, 1, 4 and 5 on the renban. And that's going to make that far too big. So we can take 1 definitely out of all of the tips. Now, what about 9 then? If you put 9 on a tip, so you can make that work. If this is 9, obviously these squares now are from 5, 6, 7 and 8. That's not 5, but I mean, providing you don't make these 8 and 7. Oh, I'm trying not to sneeze. I really don't want to sneeze and blow up the microphone. Okay, I think I've managed not to. Yeah, I mean, imagine these were low. These were 5 and 6. 5 and 6 and 9 is 20, so this would be a 3. And there are several degrees of freedom there. So that feels a bit annoying, actually. So oh, I know what it might be. A 5-cell renban. If you add up the digits on a 5-cell renban, they're divisible by 5. You can see that mathematically, because imagine the middle value digit on the 5-cell renban was called x. Then the next higher, then that string of digits could be described as x minus 2, x minus 1, x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. And the sum of all of those is 5x. So it's divisible. So the sum of the digits on here is divisible by 5. And I was just noticing, look, we almost have an overlap. Well, we've got those 5 squares, which sum to a number divisible by 5. And these 2 boxes, which sum to 37. Which is very annoying, actually. So there's far too many degrees of freedom there. Yeah, that's yeah, you could, I mean, even if you put 9 here as well, that would still work, because then this would be 35 and these would be double 1. There might be a reason they can't be double 1. But I'm not seeing what that is. Wow. Okay, sorry, no, I'm not sure about that. I think that's probably not what we're meant to do. Oh dear. You might have to bear with me here while I try and I sort of wait for inspiration to strike, if indeed it will at all. Don't really get this. Actually, I have to say, I don't really understand. I think it might be arithmetic somehow, using... Oh no, actually maybe not. I don't know what the sum of these 2 squares is. Oh, and this, yeah, this cage is totally unknowable. This is weird. No, what I was about to say is nonsense. Is it going to... What's the title? Things in common. Right. So is it trying to tell me something about... Do I have to think about what's in common, say, between this square and this square? Because they can't have too many things in common. They could have they could have 3 digits in common, and those 3 digits would go there in row 3. So if that, we know this doesn't have 1 or 9 on it. If it had 2 on it, say, then, well, then we know this would be 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we know that neither of these squares could have 2 on them, because they would also be forced to be 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I don't like that. Oh, what about if we do have to, if we put 2 on, if we put 2 in a blue box, then one of these green things has got 2 on it, and we know that all of the renbans that surround the middle box hit a 23 cage. So if they had 2 on them, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 5, 6. Ah. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Ah, bobbins. I thought I was on something there. What I was going to say is, it's still a bit true. What I was going to say is that if I say put a 2 in the corner, then I know that there's a 2 on the ring somewhere. And on the renban that's got the 2 on it, let's say I put it there, this renban, which we know hasn't got 1 on it, because we can't put 1 on any of these middle situated renbans, because it's going to break the 23 cages, this renban would now have to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the annoying thing here is that those 3 squares could be 4, 5, 6, adding up to 15. And that would make that possible, because it could be an 8 with a degree of freedom. I.e. this could be 3, 4, 6, for example. No, 3, 5, 6. It could be 3, 5, 6 with a 9 here. But what you can't do is put the 2 in any of those. Well, you can't put the 2 here in the 23 cage, because if you put the 2 in the 23 cage, the maximum value of those squares is 5 and 6. And now I've only got 2 plus 5 plus 6 here, which is only equal to 13, and that would require this to be a 10. So, if you do put 2 in a blue square in the corner, then that, well, I mean, the short summary version is it's fine, provided that where you put the 2 in the ring is not in a 23 cage, which is fine, isn't it? There's still, in fact, we could still have loads and loads of 2s, although we couldn't, because we couldn't have more than, actually we couldn't have more than 2 because of the geometry, because I can't put a 2. I could put a 2 down here. If there's a 2 up here, I can put a 2 down here. But I can't put a 2 here or here, because that's going to lead me to my 2, 3, 4, 5 here and 2, 3, 4, 5 here problem, and these squares having a problem. So the, the long and short of it is you can have a 2 on in a corner. Good grief. How long about 40 minutes? I'm not even sniffing a digit here, am I? Although I do feel, what I do feel is if I ask the right question about this puzzle, it will, it will give me something back. It feels like it's just a matter of having the right idea about how to think about it. And I think Oh, I thought it was arithmetic before. I don't think it's arithmetic now. I think it's probably things in common. I'm wondering if it's the title somehow. Is that what I'm supposed to be understanding? So if it feels like it's, I have to ask the question now, what's in common between the 2x2s? Or is it the 1s and 9s? It could be the 1s and 9s actually. Maybe I haven't thought through those. Yeah, okay. Hang on. Oh my goodness me. Oh my god. Right. I've just had a very interesting thought. The sort of thought that even if I was at a party, it might even be interesting to other people. Hang on. Let me think about this again. Oh, this is hard to think through actually without pencil marking it. I'm just going to give this a moment though, because I want, if I can see this without pencil marking. I thought I saw it when I was thinking about it first time. Now I'm not so sure it's right. This is right. I think it is right. Okay, so right. What I was thinking is that we worked out that but because there's a 5 in all of the 2x2s in the corner, there were no extreme digits in the blue squares, and therefore there were no extreme digits in these squares. But we also, separately but related to that, had the epiphany that told us there were no 1s, didn't we? In the sticky out piece it's here. Because if there was a 1 in a sticky out piece, the 23 cage was unfillable. So what that means is that each of these renbans which doesn't have 1 on it, I'm now selecting a consecutive sequence of 5 digits from the digits 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now what that means is that there must be a 6 on each of these lines. Now that means there are 4 6s on these lines, but isn't it the same logic in the sense that given I've now worked out that there is a 6 on this line, there is a 6 on this line, there is a 6 on this line, and there is a 6 on this line, if I put the 6 on any one of those lines in the tip, then all the 6s go in the tips. Because if there's a 6 here, the 6 on this line gets put in the tip, the 6 on this line gets put in the tip. And if if all of those squares there are all 6, surely that's breaking the ring. It's breaking these corner rings is what I'm thinking. Because I know now that well, these all have the same thing on them, and that's not going to work. Because if you've got 6 here, what is the sequence that lives in the corner of this box? Well, it can't use 6 anymore, so it must be 5, 4, 3, and 2. But if that's 5, 4, 3, and 2, and that's 5, 4, 3, and 2, and that's 5, 4, 3, and 2, and that's 5, 4, 3, and 2, then what digits are we putting here? And the answer is 5, 4, 3, and 2 every time. But there's only 3 different cells there, so that cannot be right. That is weird, isn't it? So what that means... Well, what that means is that the 6 on each of these renbans, and we know there's a 6 on each of these renbans, actually therefore has to live in the same cells as the 5. which means that there is definitely now a 6 in each of the blue squares. Okay. Now, has that helped us? And the answer is I want to sort of try and do that again now, because now there's definitely, if I know there's a 6, if I know there's a 6 in the corners on these blue things, there's now no 2, is there? Because the lowest this could go is 6, 5, 4, 3. So there's definitely now no 2 in the green squares. But didn't we work out I couldn't put 2 in the tip of any of these? Because if I put 2 here, yeah, I mean this sequence, it's always going to break the 23 cage. Your phone's buzzing there. What was that actually saying? I can't deal with that now. Yeah, if I put 2 in a tip, doesn't it break the 23 cage just by mathematics, in the sense that this sequence is now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can't actually even put 5 and 6 here, because this square can't be 5 or 6. But even if I could, 5 plus 6 plus 2 is only 13, and I can't make this a 10. So what that means is that there is now a set. It's going to do this again. This is just ridiculous. It is so beautiful, because now what we've worked out now is there's no 2 on any of these sequences. Now, if there's no 2 on them, the minimum sequence is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the maximum sequence is 9, 8, 7, 5, 6. So there is a 7 on each of these. And then now we know there's a 7 on each of the renbans. Could you ever put a 7 in an orange square? No, because all of these would be 7. And now all of this is no longer whatever we said last time. Now it's 6, 5, 4, 3 in every single case, and it can't be, because if all of these corners are 6, 5, 4, 3, we have to put 6, 5, 4, 3 into all of these squares. So that means there is no 7 in the orange squares, which means there are 4 7s in the green squares, which means that well, actually it means that these are all 5, 6 and 7 now. Because of course if you have to put 4 7s in the ring, again you can't put 7 in the corner of the ring, because you're going to mean you've got to put 3 7s in that sequence, and you can't do that. So this is 5, 6, 7, this is 5, 6, 7, this is 5, 6, 7, this is 5, 6, 7. There is now a 7 in each, because there are 4 7s on the ring, there are 4 7s in the blue squares. And therefore, these I'm actually going to change my pencil marking now, because these corners therefore they're definitely 5, 6, 7, and then either 4 or 8. And in fact, when I say either 4 or 8, I mean that very precisely, because what we can't have, we're going to have 2 of one flavour and 2 of the other flavour. So imagine this was 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's take the 8 out for a moment, because we know each of these has 5, 6, 7, and then either 4 or 8. Well, obviously, if this is 4, 5, 6, 7, neither of these could be 4, 5, 6, 7, because then we'd have to put 4, 5, 6, and 7 into those squares. So this one, if this is 4, 5, 6, 7, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this would be 4, 5, 6, 7, and this would be 5, 6, 7, 8. So what that means is that we've got exactly 2 sequences of 4, 5, 6, 7 and 2 sequences of 5, 6, 7, 8. So, okay, so these corner squares are the 4s and the 8s, and they live opposite one another. Okay, and now hang on a minute. Well, now the orange squares are restricted, aren't they? Yeah, the orange squares they're extreme in their sequences, in the sense that imagine this was a 4. Then this line has got 4, 5, 6 and 7 on it, which in theory means this square here is either 8 or 3, but it's not 8, because those squares form a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quintuple. So this is sort of, so this is actually, there's a white dot in effect between these two squares, because this is either 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or it's 5, 6, 7, 4, 3. This is definitely 3 or 9, and it's consecutive with this digit, which means we can probably do maths on this box. But this logic is the same for each of these 23s. Well, not really the 23 that's giving me that. It's the same for each of the shapes of the renban. So if this was low, if this was 3, 4, no, hang on. Oh, this is gorgeous. Right, no, this is much more simple. This digit is different from this digit, because if imagine this is 3, then we know this is 4. Well, then we know this is 8. And we know this is 9. So where's 3 in this box? It has got to go there. So there's a sort of cycle thing going round. So this digit, we should colour this differently. This digit, let's give it a different colour. We'll give. No, I was going to make it purple. I'll make it grey. So this is grey. That's going to go there by Sudoku. And it's 3 or 9. Therefore, that is grey. No, that's not true. No, we've got to be much more careful. Because this orange, imagine that's 3, then this is 4, this is 8, this is 9. So in fact, this square here is grey, that one is orange. And then then it works much better. These two are opposite each other. These two are opposite each other, which makes much more sense from a Sudoku perspective. So now let's delete the colouring of this one and make sure we get it right. So if this was 3, 4, this would be 8, 9. So this does need to be orange, and therefore that's going to be, you've guessed it, grey. And now, I see. Okay, we can do the same up here. That's got to be orange. And these squares and these squares and these squares and these squares are 1s and 2s in each case, because we've effectively now got the 3, 9 pair. We're going to have to do some tidying up of our pencil marks here. 9 can come out of there, 1 can come out of there, 9 comes out of here, 1 comes out of there. Yeah, and I've still got the opportunity to do my mathematics here, which is where I got sidetracked from my mathematics by noticing that this square had to be different from this one. Right, so let's try mathematics. If this was 3, 4, then these two squares have to add up to 16. So they have to be 7 and 9. So if this is 3, 4, this is 7, 9. Okay, but if this is 9, 8, Oh, no, this is fine. This is fine. So if this is 9, 8, that's 17, isn't it? So these would have to add up to 6, which would mean these would have to be 5 and 1. So actually what we're learning is this square is very restricted. This is a very extreme number. It's either 1 or 9, depending on what this is. And this square is never 6. It's always either 5 or 7. So that square is never 6. That square is never 6. That square is never 6. These other digits are all 1s and 9s, and these all have flavors as well, because if that's 3, that's 9. So we should highlight that. I mean, because if that's 3, we know this is 4, this is 8, this is 9, and then this would be 1. So this is the other flavor. We'll make that yellow, and that must cycle, which means that this one is red, and this one is yellow, which means yellow is in one of those, red's in one of those. Now what do we do? That digit's low. 1, 2 or 3. Not 1 actually. This square can't be 1 because it sees both flavors of a 1-9 pair. Remember, these digits, the yellow and the red, are different, so one of them is a 1, looking at this square. So now if this can't be 1, these either add up to 12 or they add up to 11. So they're not a 6-7 pair. So 5 is definitely involved in those two squares, which means, oh, is that? This could be so beautiful, because if I get, if I get this, it's going to go round the ring like we're going to be in a hadron collider situation here, where spinning around this central thing is going to be an awful lot of digitage. Let me think about this. So, is that definitely right? This is definitely not 1. And only if this was 1 could that be 6, 7. So there is a 5 here. This is a 7. So this is it. This is absolutely brilliant. What a puzzle this is, Arbitrary. And I think I'm proving that although the early bird may catch the worm, the second mouse gets the cheese. Because I may not have cottoned onto this quickly, but I think I have finally worked out what's going on. So now this is a 7. And therefore, these squares are a 5, 6 pair, and that square is a 3 by mathematics. There we go. And now, well, when this was 7, didn't we say this had to be 9? I'm sure we did. Yeah, because when this was 3, 4, we needed 7, 9 there. When this was 8, 9, you couldn't possibly have 7 here. So this is good. This is good. So we're in this world. And now we know that yellow is 9. We know red is 1. We know orange is 3. We know these are 8s. Grey is 9. Yeah, my colouring, I could have amalgamated the colours for some of them. Oh look, I've got 1s and 2s cropping up over there. That's got to be 4 by the dint of mathematics. That's got to be 7. Oh, this is unbelievable, isn't it? It's just an unbelievable puzzle. That's got to be a 5. Oh look. I've just got a 3 digit there in this 15 cage. That's got to be a 2. What else can we do here? Is this now finished? Oh, no, there's no 4s down here anymore. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, which means this cannot be 5, 6, 7, 8. That must be 4, 5, 6, 7. This is therefore 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is therefore 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a 1 here, so I can do more with 1s and 2s. Not sure now what to do, but at least that was very exciting for a moment or two. And therefore, well, where do we don't know what this one adds up to, which is a bit weird. Sorry, if you can see it. Well, oh, I can do maths on this box. That's a 5. Which is potentially interesting. 6 in the middle box. Where's 6 in the... Oh, that's really weird and lovely. Where's 6 in the middle box? Because there's a 5, 6 pair here, so 6 isn't there. And there's a 6, 7 pair there, so 6 isn't there. So 6 is in one of these two squares, but it can't be here, because it would repeat in this cage. So 6 is there. And look what that's doing. It's doing all sorts of things. This is really clever. Now that's 7, because I've got to put 7 in the middle box and it can't repeat. Oh, I really like that step. That was very, very peculiar and lovely. 9 is in one of those squares. It's going to be just a matter of spotting. I can't immediately see where to look now. I have to tell you. There's probably something very obvious I meant to see at this juncture, but I can't see what it is. Bother. We've still got these funny cages hanging around the edges, but I don't think... I mean, I might be missing a trick, but I don't think any of them are very... obviously constrained. 11, 14. Oh, okay, that is a low digit. I've got 11 here. So these 3 have to add to 14, and the minimum I can make these add up to, this is a 1. Oh no, okay, it was much simpler. It's just maths on this box, which is gorgeous at this point. Yeah, these add up to 11. These are 14. The minimum I can make this is 5 and 6, which means the maximum this is 3, but it already sees 3 and 2, so that's 1, and that's going to do those digits as well. So now this column presumably is important. Where's 5 in this column is a sensible question. It's got to go here. Which means these squares are a 4, 8 pair. These squares are 1, 2 and 3. That's not 3. There's a 1, 2 pair here. 2 is not there because it would repeat in its case. So there's a vertical 2 there, which means that's 2. We can place it in box 2. These squares are 3, 4 and 8. We might be able to improve upon that as well. That's not 3, look. I put 3, 4, 7. That's a very bad shank. Okay. Is that useful? Don't know. Hang on. Maybe I can do maths on this box. I've got 11 there as well, so these add up to 14. Oh. No, okay. So if that's 1, these add up to 13. If this is 3, these add up to 11, which is actually still very possible. What about that one? We've got 4 so far. So we need 21. Which means this can't be 5, 6 or 7, can it? So it can't be 4 either, because 4's too low. we can't make these 3 digits add up to 21 if this is 4, because these would have to be 8, 9. So that's a big digit. That's 8 or 9. That feels like it might be important. The 2 is in one of these squares in column 1. If that's 8, these are 12. These add up to 13, 6, 7. If this is 9, oh, 9, 12, 13, these would have to be 12. There's never a 4 in here, is there? I don't think. Might be wrong, but I don't think there can be a 4 in this domino. If there's a 4 in this domino, the maximum this is 4 and 7, which is 11, 12, 15. This would have to be a 10. Yeah, that's wrong. So we can take 4 out of here, which means 4 is in here, which means that this is the only place for a 4 now. Which means there's a 4 in one of these squares as well. Now, the 4 in this row has to be over here. It's tricky, actually. It's still not quite yielding all its secrets to me, is it? It's being a little bit naughty. Well, what do those digits add up to? 12, 13. 13, we can do that 2 different ways. That's either 5, 8 or 6, 7. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. Which cages have we not looked at? I've not looked at this cage. Which is, yeah, but there's 2 unknowns in this one. Oh, but it adds up to a little bit more, doesn't it? So perhaps, do we need this to be high again? Maybe that's the point. If this is not 8 or 9, it's got a maximum size of 4. And there's no way we can make this add up to 26. Because we'd be at 17, 20... No, nowhere near. So that's definitely 8 or 9. Which, I mean, if we go 6, 7, 8 is 21, isn't it? But that works. If this was 6, 7, 8, and that was 3, and that was 2, it just gets high enough to reach its target of 26. So we can take 4 out again from here. I think. I think it might be the same as up here. If there's a 4 down here, we're at 4 and 7 plus 3, which is 14. So we need these to add up to 12, and they can't do it. Okay, so that's something. So there's a 4 down here, which means the 4 has to be there. That's definitely an 8. These squares are now 5, 6, and 7. Oh, it's trying to do something. Just not quite managing it. Oh dear, hang on. What's going on? Why can't I do this? I don't know what that adds up to. Is it something to do with these having to add up to 13? Or these having to add up to 13? It looks like it's trying to put pressure on some of these digits, doesn't it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where's 2 in this column? It seems to have to go there, which gives us a 2 over on the other side. 3 can... hang on, maybe it's Sudoku. I shouldn't be surprised by that. 3 can be placed in this box by a plain, simple Sudoku. That's 3, that's 4. Okay, that's good. So that's giving me a 4 here. So now I've got a 5, 6, 7, 8 quadruple in column 9, and that's become a 9. Which means there's a vertical 9 in box thingy. We probably already knew that if I'd focused on it. But that's an 8. Which means these are not... this is not 8. But these had to add up to 13, didn't they? So this must be 6, 7, which means these squares are 5, 8, which means there's no 5 down here. So these are 6, 7. This is 5. This is fabulous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, he says, trying to work out what that might mean. I don't know. There's a 3, 8 pair there, so we get a 5 in the corner and an 8 here. These lose their ability to be 5. There's definitely a 4 over this side of the grid. There's definitely a 5 in this domino. So maybe we can do more maths on this situation now. So at the moment we're at a count of 9 with 2 digits left over, which must add up to, yeah, it's this box, I think. I think we need 7 and 9 to make it work, but I'm going to double check. So we're at 5 plus 1 plus 3 is 9. So we need 16 more with 2 digits. That's only work. That can only be 9 here and 7 in there. So this is now hasn't got 7 in the top row. So we get 4, 6, which means this is 7. This is 6. Does this 9? Yeah, that 9's doing something. Look, that seems to be putting a 9 here, which is placing a 1 here, which is giving me a 3 here. Oh no. Oh, okay, I need some help here to make this work, because I've got otherwise I've got a deadly pattern. That's 3. That's 8. In this column, we've not put a 4 in, so we must do that. We've not put an 8 into this row. That's 8. That's 4. So that's 4, that's 6. 6 comes out of these squares. That seems to be where the 8 goes in the column. I've got a bad feeling I've made a mistake here. This doesn't feel... It's giving me the heebie-jeebies. Right, what have we got here? We've got 14. So I need 11 from these two. So this can't be 7. Okay, so that is 6. That's 5. That's 7. That's 7, that's 5. That's 7, that's 6. Okay, and maths is going to resolve the 1, 2 pair at the end, I think. Thank goodness for that. Let's check. 19, 24, we need a 2, 2, 1, 1. That is absolutely breathtaking. My goodness me, yes. Did I like that? My goodness, I did. 42 people in 7 days. I think that's really quite a challenging puzzle. That's taken me an hour and 15 minutes. Wow. Wow. I mean, the logic, the 5, 6, 7 triple that emerges around this ring is one of the most, it's one of these staggering ideas. It's complicated though, isn't it? Because you have to appreciate that the 23 cages are putting pressure on the low digits, and that's allowing you to keep iterating upwards and knocking the low digits off the points. And you have to appreciate that the low digits gets knocked off the points as well as off the sort of the main part of the Fistamafel ring. That is so clever, Arbitrary. That is a really, really good puzzle. Ridiculously clever. I'm going to be very interested in the comments on this one, actually. I'm going to be, especially, I mean, there are some fantastic solvers who watch the channel, who quite often put in blazing times. I don't know how easy that puzzle is. Because I think until you ask the right question, I mean, for much of that video, I was just stuck. I didn't know what to do. It's brilliant though, isn't it? What a beautiful idea. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.